There are men who walk into a room and the air changes. It isn't surface charisma. It's the quiet of a regulated nervous system, gathered attention, energy that doesn't leak. Welcome to Gods of Semen. I'm shorturl.at, your guide in this initiation where science, psychology, and spiritual tradition converge to awaken the virile strength that apathy, burnout, anxiety, confusion about purpose, and sexual compulsion have drained from so many. Today we will map, with surgical precision, how semen retention reorganizes your internal state. Less dopaminergic scatter, a steadier gaze, a voice with its own cadence, and why that shifts the social signals women display in the presence of a centered man. This episode reveals 5 field-verifiable signs and a practical test you can confirm tonight, because this project doesn't sell lines. It delivers protocol and presence. Stay until the end to receive hidden keys that shield your energy, sharpen your focus, and reposition your life on an axis of choice and spiritual authority. If this call touches your consciousness, subscribe now and activate the bell, because each video is a step in the initiatory journey we're building toward 25,000 brothers in covenant, a living movement of masculine reconstruction that doesn't watch from the sidelines, but participates, transforms, and bears witness. You are not imagining it. When you practice retention, certain female behaviors begin to shift in your direction, and you can learn to read them with precision rather than guesswork. The aim here is simple. Know exactly which signals tend to appear around a man whose nervous system is calm, his attention collected, and his presence felt before he speaks. What changes first is state, not lines. Retention lowers compulsive micro-seeking, the jittery scanning for novelty that fragments attention and leaks neediness into your eyes and voice. As dopaminergic scatter settles, your gaze stops darting, your speech cadence slows a notch, and your posture organizes itself without effort. This physiological calm is not a performance. It is a measurable baseline shift. A steadier gaze means more stable saccades. Deeper, slower breaths translate into lower visible tension in the jaw and shoulders. Reduced fidgeting removes the background noise that telegraphs insecurity. Women tend to read state before they parse content. They are exquisitely tuned to the difference between hunger and choice, between grasping and grounded selectivity. When the signal you broadcast is organized and unhurried, you cease to advertise thirst. That alone changes the social math. In practice, this calmer signal functions like a cleaner channel. Eye contact begins to carry warmth instead of demand. Pauses become confident rather than awkward. Even your walk communicates an internal metronome that others can entrain to. People around you start to mirror your tempo without realizing it. A fractional delay before they break eye contact, a softening of the voice when they ask a question, a micro adjustment of posture when you take your space. None of this requires theatrics. The point is not to act detached. The point is to be unfragmented enough that attention lands where you place it and stays there long enough to read the room. Because state precedes strategy, the 5 signals you are about to learn will make sense as natural responses to grounded presence. You will see longer micro-eye contact followed by the telltale half-smile. You will notice self-grooming and rhythm sync after your glance or sentence. You will track proximity drift and those oddly convenient re-encounters. You will recognize soft compliance tests disguised as favors, and you will decode playful contradiction that probes the stability of your frame. Each sign is subtle on its own, but together they compose a pattern you can verify without chasing or forcing outcomes. To keep this practical, a simple field test will follow sign 5. It requires no tricks, only a low-stakes venue, and the breathing cadence that stabilizes your baseline. You will log what appears, in what order, and how your state influenced each response. The goal is replication, not one-off luck. Once you can see these signals clearly, you will understand that retention is not magic. It is the disciplined reduction of noise so that genuine interest has a clean path to surface. Retention alters your baseline before it touches any tactic. When you stop scattering attention with compulsive micro-seeking, the nervous system shifts from restless pursuit to regulated presence. Breath settles into a slower cadence, shoulders unlock, jaw unbraces, and your gaze steadies into longer, quieter fixations. Speech trims filler and spreads into clearer phrasing with unhurried pauses. This reorganization raises signal to noise. You notice more per unit of time because your senses are no longer hijacked by novelty spikes. The result is physiological calm that can be felt across the table without a word. Women tend to read state faster than statements. They are attuned to congruence, the micro mismatch between a confident sentence and a hungry eye, the tension hidden inside forced charm. When thirst drops, your attention no longer begs, it chooses. That perceived selectivity carries status because it implies options, self-command, and time abundance. The face softens around the eyes, not into apathy but into grounded availability. Space is taken without crowding. Silence communicates safety rather than vacancy. What's felt is not aloofness, it's a cleaner channel. From that channel, social math tilts in your favor. Subtle invitations appear where none used to. Longer micro-eye contact that returns. Small favors framed as casual questions. Proximity that drifts closer and re-enters after brief exits. Playful contradiction designed to test how stable your frame is. Because your tempo is slower and your gaze is less needy, these cues become easier to notice and easier to reward without overreaching. Presence precedes pull, and retention is the practice that keeps presence intact when the moment arrives. It begins with a glance that lingers a beat too long to be accidental. She looks, the pupils steady, then breaks not with a hard turn of the head, but with a soft drop of the eyes, or a small sideward tilt. The smile, if it comes, is not a wide display. It arrives late, asymmetrical at one corner, as if her face is catching up to an internal yes. Many men miss it because they search for overt signals. What matters here is the sequence and pacing. Contact, micro-pause, disengage, then the half-smile on re-entry. When your baseline is calm, this pattern repeats throughout the interaction, growing in confidence with each pass. This appears because grounded gaze feels safe and interesting at the same time. When you are not broadcasting need, your eyes stop grabbing for confirmation and start offering attention without pressure. That combination removes the defensive flinch most women have learned to deploy and turns the moment into a test of steadiness. She is not trying to win a staring contest. She is assessing whether your eyes are regulated enough to hold warmth without demand. The delayed smile is the tell. If your presence reads as congruent, relaxed shoulders, unforced breath, voice unhurried, her system rewards you with a softer expression after the break, not before. The delay marks an internal appraisal resolving in your favor. Use a simple field cue to confirm it without forcing anything. When eye contact lands, silently count 1,000 before you look away. Break first with a slow, friendly micro-nod, then let your gaze return to neutral. If she rechecks you within a few seconds and the corner smile appears after that recheck, you are reading interest, not politeness. Resist the urge to escalate with chatter. Match the tempo you just set. Resume what you were doing, hold posture, and allow the loop to repeat. 2 or 3 cycles of this pattern. Prolonged glance, soft break, delayed half smile, signal that an approach will be welcomed, and because your state is steady, you can start simple and present rather than performing for effect. You will notice a pattern of tiny self-adjustments that seem to orbit your presence. Right after you speak or let your gaze land, she touches the lip as if checking gloss, tucks hair behind the ear to clear the face, slides a pendant along the chain, smooths the hem of a shirt, or aligns a sleeve. The timing is the tell. These behaviors cluster within a couple of seconds after your cue and repeat across the interaction, not as nervous fidgeting directed at the room, but as small acts of presentation directed toward being seen by you. In a cafe, it may be the cup lifted to the mouth right after your glance, a wipe of the corner lip, a slow adjustment of posture. In a gym, it may be the waistband straightened or ponytail tightened right after you finish a set and look up. When retention steadies your signal, these preening gestures become easier to spot because they occur in sequence and feel anchored to your attention rather than random. Why this appears is straightforward. A calm, non-needy presence lowers defensive tension and opens space for selective display. Self-grooming is the body's way of framing the face, clearing the vocal channel, or accenting the neckline to increase perceived symmetry and readiness. When your eyes do not grasp, her system can risk soft self-presentation without fearing it will be swallowed. You are not chasing, you are choosing, and that flips the appraisal. The same gestures that might look like anxiety in a chaotic exchange read as deliberate refinement when the tempo is grounded. You wake up tired, off-center, eyes heavy from screens and broken promises. Days blur, energy leaks in micro-spikes of pleasure and long hangovers of guilt. A scattered mind, an anxious body, a fogged purpose. You feel strength inside, but something keeps diluting it. compulsion, distraction, self-sabotage. This cycle isn't fate, it's disorder, and disorder is corrected with right, discipline, and guidance. Patreon Gods of Semen is the secret initiatory portal where men leave the noise and enter a process. It isn't entertainment, it's a path. Here you receive daily, practical, spiritual direction to retain, transmute, and rebuild the presence that commands your own life. Inside you access daily motivational posts that tune your mind for the inner war, videos banned on YouTube, direct, uncensored, ritual PDFs to install sacred habits and shield your energy, complete series on retention, spiritual warfare, and philosophical readings applied to everyday life. Early access to releases and chapters the public will only see later. It's a digital monastery for the new conscious masculinity. Attention. Promotion valid only for the first 10 who join via the pinned comment. After that, the doors close until the next cycle. This is a space only for men brave enough to guard what is precious and transform what rules them. Here, addiction isn't identity, it's an enemy. Here, every day is a vow of honor. On one side, slaves to impulse, running in circles. On the other, guardians of themselves, who choose, build, and win. Cross the line now. Click the pinned comment and seize the promotion now. If you're ready to encode your raw energy into unshakable presence, the ebook Stored Sex, The Code of Raw Masculine Energy is your initiation manual. 170 plus pages across 8 modules uniting neuroscience, psychology, and spiritual tradition. Activation phrases to reprogram your self-talk. Daily spiritual practices to align mind, body, and spirit. Retention rituals to seal leaks, elevate your state, and transform desire into focus, discipline, and quiet power that's felt before it's seen. This isn't a text to collect. It's a system to practice and change your life in 30 days of consistent application. Access it via the link in the description or pinned comment. And if you're among the first 10 buyers, unlock the exclusive promotion for this cycle. Choose to stop being dragged by impulses and become the architect of your own energy. Alongside grooming, watch rhythm. Microsynchrony is attraction's quiet engine. When your breath deepens and slows, her breath often follows by a fraction. Your blink rate steadies and hers begins to match. You shift weight from one foot to the other, and a few beats later she does too. This is not mimicry on command. It is entrainment to a stable metronome. You can test it ethically by letting your exhale lengthen while you listen and softening your shoulders. If her shoulders drop within the next moments and her sentences start to match your cadence, the channel is aligning. The same shows up in how she times sips or laughs. Your pause creates a pocket she fills in rhythm, not to fill silence but to stay in step. Posture mirroring is the visible capstone. If you lean back slightly and open your stance, and within 5 to 10 seconds she mirrors the lean or opens her posture in kind, that is a high confidence cue. Obstacles like a table or counter may force partial mirroring, so look for equivalence rather than exact duplication. A crossbody bag may stay where it is, but the torso turns to match your angle. A leg cannot cross due to space, but the foot points toward you, and the knee aligns with your line. The speed matters. Immediate copying can be social compliance. A short delay that settles into the same shape reads as attraction. Keep the read clean with a simple 2-step audit. First, speak one concise sentence and hold soft eye contact. Scan only peripherally for grooming within 3 seconds of your last word. Second, change one element of your posture, such as a relaxed lean or a slow shift of weight. Note whether she converges toward that shape within the next 5 to 10 seconds. One cue in isolation proves nothing. 2 or more, time locked to your signal and repeating across minutes form a pattern. Do not chase confirmation with exaggerated moves or stare downs. Let your presence set the tempo, reward alignment with warmth, and allow the synchrony to build on its own. The body tells on intention long before words arrive. Watch how distance compresses in quiet, plausible steps and how orientation shifts from parallel to angled to directly open. In lines, at racks, between tables, or along a grocery aisle, she begins by turning one foot toward you, then the hips, then the sternum. And each small pivot is paired with a micro step that closes the gap without triggering alarms. You will feel a change in the bubble around you. The air gets socially warmer as she settles inside conversational range without announcing it. This drift is not a beeline. It looks like choosing a spot with a better view, rechecking a menu, or comparing items near you. The accuracy of the read lies in timing. If her repositioning follows your movement within a short window and ends at a distance where a low-volume exchange is effortless, she is voting for contact with her feet. After the initial convergence, re-encounters show up as chance crossings that repeat enough to stop being chance. Paths intersect at the water fountain after you switch machines, at the condiment station after you sit, in the dairy aisle after you choose produce. The pattern is low risk by design. She appears close to your path, gives you an easy opener like a shared object or a quick glance, then exits without penalty if you miss it. The more regulated your tempo, the clearer these loops become. You relocate to a new zone, and within 2 to 5 minutes, she materializes again in your periphery, oriented toward you, lingering just long enough for you to notice. Staff and high traffic constraints can create false positives, so filter for discretionary movement. If she reroutes around an obstacle to end up near your line of sight rather than taking the shortest path away, proximity is intentional. Audit this with a simple 3-part framework. First, mark entry, the moment she steps into your immediate orbit with orientation favoring you. Second, mark re-entry, a subsequent appearance within minutes after you relocate at least a few meters or make a clear task change. Third, mark linger, the dwell time and ease of an opener from that position. 2 or more re-entries within a short span, coupled with consistent orientation and comfortable linger, indicate deliberateness rather than coincidence. To test without forcing, run a gentle relocation. Shift to a new machine, move to a different table, or take a parallel aisle. Do not look back to check. Let your state lead. If she arcs an L-shaped path that lands near your new position or pauses where your attention naturally returns, the invitation is active. Keep your responses congruent with the signal you are reading. You do not need to chase. A soft acknowledgement as you share the space, a brief comment about the immediate environment, or a calm question that fits the context is sufficient. If the drift continues after that, expand slightly and let the conversation find its own footing. If it was happenstance, the pattern will break on its own without awkwardness. If it was intent, the third loop often arrives with an easy excuse to speak and a smile that confirms you both knew what was unfolding. Attraction often approaches under the cover of practicality. A woman will surface a small, low-risk request that lets her sample your steadiness in action, while preserving plausible deniability. It sounds like everyday logistics. Can you hold this for a second? Is this seat taken? Which one would you pick? Could you reach that on the top shelf? Do you know if this machine is free? Can you take a quick photo of us? The cue is not the task itself, but the package it arrives in. A warm tone slightly above baseline, eye contact that lands before the request and returns after you respond, and a position that places her within conversational distance, even when the pretext wouldn't strictly require it. Timing again is the tell. These favors tend to appear after you have broadcast calm through posture, breath, and voice. They are invitations masked as errands. The psychology behind the move is simple. She is testing whether your calm signal equals competence. Words are cheap. Small execution reveals more. When you accept a micro-task without rushing, when your hands are steady, when you track details without overperforming, her nervous system gets data about reliability and presence. If you wobble into overeagerness or banter that tries too hard, the task becomes heavy, and the spell breaks. If you dismiss the request with indifference, you read as cold or socially dull. The sweet spot is engaged ease. You give the impression that your attention is available but not hungry, that you can enter the moment, complete what is needed, and exit without clinging. The reward often follows immediately: a warmer smile, a follow-up question that extends the interaction, a soft laugh at something small you noticed while helping. Passing the test is a choreography of tempo and frame. First, slow down by 1 notch. Receive the request with a micro smile and a simple sure, then execute deliberately. If you are holding a phone to take a photo, plant your feet, frame the shot cleanly, take 2 or 3 angles without commentary, and hand it back with brief eye contact and a calm "you're good." If you are choosing between 2 items, ask a clarifying question that shows you listened, then give a concise pick with 1 reason anchored in her stated goal. If you are guarding a seat, protect the space confidently and wave her in when she returns as if it were the most natural thing. Avoid nervous chatter, avoid jokes that seek approval, avoid teacher energy that turns the task into a lecture. Your pace and precision should communicate I can handle small things without making them big. If warmth returns quickly, expand just enough to invite continuation with a context-fitted line, then let her invest. If the favor was a courtesy rather than attraction, your steadiness still reads well and the moment closes cleanly without residue. Attraction often arrives as a friendly challenge. She lightly contradicts a point you made, adds a teasing remark about your choice or frames a small opinion, clash with a smirk that invites you to hold your ground without hardening. The surface looks like disagreement. The subtext is calibration. She is testing whether your frame is elastic enough to absorb a nudge without collapsing into defensiveness or overperforming dominance. The strength of retention shows here because the nervous system is less reactive. Breath stays slow, shoulders remain loose, and your eyes don't dart for approval. What is felt across the table is composure under play, not a need to win. You feel the weight of sleepless fatigue, a scattered mind that demands more stimulus while delivering less presence. Old vices repeat the same ritual of loss, and deep down, you know it isn't will that's missing. It's code. Alchemy of the gods is that portal. Sacred language applied to practical life, where the serpentine fire of Kundalini purifies dormant centers. The crystalline oil, sacred oil, rises as a fine light that awakens the mind, and spiritual liberation stops being a concept and becomes a daily choice. It is a ritual work, available in print for your altar, digital for your study, and audiobook to install the vibration in your body as you live. Open it as you would a temple, move through each chapter like an unlocking sigil, and treat every exercise as a vow. If you're ready to activate your axis, seal the leaks, and reinstall inner authority, hit the link in the description or the pinned comment and enter now. But before anything else, I have news you didn't expect. Semen Retention Success Path is a 2-hour audiobook, straight to the point, with 6 deep themes that align semen retention with unshakable focus, usable strength, and real spiritual unlocking. Dopaminergic circuit reset, command breathing and posture, daily anchoring rituals, boundary armor, transmutation of desire into discipline, and a quiet social presence that opens doors. Today, those who step in also unlock a bonus, 30% off the ebook The Art of Semen Retention for Men, with 20+ practical pages for immediate implementation. Link in the description and in the pinned comment. If you want to walk closer to the fire and directly support the mission, become a channel member. Early access to content, priority responses, and an active role in building this movement of masculine reconstruction. Exclusive closing. There is a silent threshold between the man who keeps circling the same labyrinth and the one who chooses to burn the old skin to cross. One side calls itself comfort, the other calls itself life. If something in you stirred, seal the learning with a like. Accept the journey by subscribing and activating the bell, and continue the right now by watching the recommended video. It is the next passage in the same corridor. When you remain untriggered, investment rises. The tempo of her speech tilts toward curiosity. Her questions get longer and the body leans in rather than away. The push is followed by a pull, a smile that widens when you respond calmly, a head tilt as she asks for elaboration, a quick concession that acknowledges your point before offering another playful prod. This is not a debate, it is a dance. Congruent responses are concise and grounded. You accept the nudge, respond with a clear reason or a light reframe, and let a beat of silence carry the confidence. Pauses communicate that you are not scrambling to protect an image. If she escalates the play with another gentle challenge, hold the same pace. Allow a micro-smile to signal comfort, maintain open posture, and keep your voice low and steady. The rhythm should feel like exchanging well-placed steps, not trading blows. Retention also sharpens your boundary sense, which prevents play from becoming corrosion. Teasing that warms into shared laughter is healthy. Teasing that sharpens into contempt is not. Distinguish the two by checking tone, eyes, and afterglow. Friendly push-pull carries spark in the eyes, softness at the mouth, and a quick return to warmth after the jab. Cutting remarks flatten the eyes, harden the jaw, and leave a residue of tension in your chest. The moment you feel your attention pulled into proving yourself, you are being dragged off center. Recenter with breath, let your gaze soften, and either change the frame or exit the exchange with grace. Boundaries do not require lectures. A simple pivot to a neutral topic, a relaxed slowdown in engagement, or a calm decision to relocate your attention communicates self-respect without theatrics. Retention is not only stored energy, it is stored choice. Use it to stay playful where there is reciprocity, and to walk where your presence is not met in kind. Group dynamics add layers to attraction signals, but the same rule applies. State precedes strategy. When you remain regulated, the social field organizes around you and patterns that would be noisy and one-on-one become readable. The clearest early tell is the gatekeeper softening. Most groups have an informal protector whose job is to filter attention. She may position herself between you and her friend, answer on her behalf, or run light interference to test your intentions. Do not push against that wall. Keep your tempo steady. Acknowledge her presence with warm eye contact, and answer her questions cleanly without trying to charm. As your calm proves non-intrusive, the gatekeeper's posture unlocks. She rotates her torso away from blocking to parallel. Her questions turn from screening to curious, and she begins to include you rather than shield. At the same time, notice the group leader, often the one others glance at for approval. If, after a few exchanges, she starts asking for your input on topics that set the tone for the group, you have been admitted into the circle's decision flow. That shift from gatekeeping to guidance is your green light to deepen connection with the original target without stepping over anyone. Competition cues surface when two interests collide. As the first woman engages you, another may increase volume, overlap speech, or introduce a parallel thread designed to pull your attention. This is not your cue to play referee. Hold frame with scarcity and fairness. Keep your body oriented primarily toward the woman who invested first. Finish your sentence at the same measured pace, then turn briefly to acknowledge the second with a concise response before returning to the original thread. Your calm sequencing communicates non-reactivity and choice. If the second woman repeatedly interrupts or physically inserts herself between you and the first, check the eyes and tone. Healthy competition keeps the vibe playful and bright. Unhealthy competition tightens jaws and sharpens comments. You manage both by refusing to accelerate. Slow your breathing, lower your voice a notch, and keep your replies short. The group will match your tempo and the dynamic will stabilize around your steadiness. Ownership micro-moves are the quiet claims that appear once interest is mutual. The most reliable is a brief, light touch at social borders. As others approach, she may graze your shoulder when laughing, rest fingertips on your forearm to keep your attention during a transition, or step close enough that her hip brushes yours in a crowded space. The tell is timing and context. Touch arrives precisely when your attention could be pulled away, then disappears once the moment passes. Orientation confirms the read. Feet pointed toward you, torso open, head tilt softened. These cues are not invitations to escalate touch for its own sake. They are signals to hold presence and reward with focused attention. You can reinforce the bond by turning your body slightly to include her in the conversational pocket, maintaining comfortable eye contact and letting your answers anchor to something she said earlier. If a friend tests that ownership by inserting herself physically, do not take the bait. Keep your stance open, give the friend a beat of attention, then resume with the woman who signaled you. The combination of grounded focus and light inclusion shows social intelligence without neediness. In practice, you can audit group signals with a simple loop. First, read roles: who screens, who leads, who follows. Second, watch for the gatekeeper's pivot from block to include after your steady responses. Third, track competition spikes and refuse to speed up, allocating attention in deliberate turns. Fourth, confirm ownership micro-moves at decision points when others enter the space. When these elements align, you have permission to deepen the thread with the woman you're connecting with while keeping the group at ease. Presence remains the magnet. The group rearranges around the signal you hold.